Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
WWE Vs All In. I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen. Welcome to the Saturday WrestleRamble edition. Right now, we are at Wrestling MediaCon, pooping our pants because tomorrow we do a live on-stage dance routine.
Absolutely. I think by the time this has gone live, we'll have done our Indie Darling show, Internet Darling show, with Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret, Matthew from Botchamania, and some lad called Adam Pacitti, who I've barely heard of.
Yeah, freakishly tall. Suspiciously tall.
Suspiciously tall.
Tom Phillips.
Yeah, he's definitely got lifts in his boots. So we've done that show, which you can obviously watch on Fight TV, but also we're going to be doing our show tomorrow, The Punishment, where we're going to do our dance routine. We're probably rehearsing that routine as we speak.
Yes, drunk. We've got some surprises for you as well.
Oh, we have. And it's not just the dancing.
Yeah. But last weekend, it's kind of like, it's interesting how these two independent things have happened so close to each other. Like, from what I understand, these dates weren't announced. Like, the two things weren't aware of each other, but you've got All In and StarCast last weekend, and this weekend you've kind of got the UK equivalent, which is Wrestling MediaCon with the Impact versus UK show and the Rev Pro British J Cup. We're going to get to see Bandido.
I know. and Liger again.
Yes.
Yes, I'm really excited to see Liger.
So that it's just this larger conversation of WWE and All In, and how that the players that are going to become a part of this.
Yes.
So I'm thinking the major players at the moment are the Elite family. So that's Cody Rhodes, that's Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Marty Scurll, Hangman Page.
Yes.
Those are the five, well, six, because the Bucks are kind of two people. And interestingly, as part of All In and the bit afterwards, Cody said, the next move we're going to make it together, and we're going to stick together.
Love that. And
having seen All In, I've got to think that it's not with WWE.
It has to be at this point, right? It has to be them sticking out on their own. Like, I think Meltzer was talking about this on Wrestling Observer Radio, talking about like the amounts of money that was made at that show. Like, by all accounts, Pro Wrestling Tees made just shy of $500,000.
Okay, so the number I've seen is that, but over the last 4 months.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's not that weekend.
Okay, I was going to say the way Meltzer phrased it was that weekend.
But I might be wrong. That's what Meltzer knows more than me, but I think I read
Are you trying to say
more other sites.
You're trying to say you know more than Dave Meltzer?
No, I think Meltzer knows more, but I read everything.
No, I know.
I don't think Meltzer reads every insignificant tweet.
But like, so a lot of money was made, and they were super proud of that show as well. So like, you can imagine, this is something they put their heart and soul into, something that they promoted themselves, something that they wanted to prove that they could do. To then just go like, man, now we're going to go sign with WWE.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see that happening.
Perfect bargaining chip.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening. What I instead see is All In 2. I see more of these shows. We just kind of speculated about this previously, that if, All In is a success, which it was going to be because it sold out its tickets, 11,000 tickets it sold out in the end, 11,263 I think was the number.
Even more successful
than we thought it was originally. So you got like that incredible number. We were like, cool, then you do another show. And rather than call that All In 2, you do in September next year. And you could do like 4 shows a year, these sort of 4 big, massive mega touring show things. Do them in the UK, do them elsewhere. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, so in terms of structure, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think everyone really gets caught up in the WWE way of telling stories, which is weekly television and a pay-per-view every month. But really, most indie promotions, and certainly like back in when WWE started, they didn't have weekly. They had like a weekly syndicated thing, but it was the big pay-per-view shows every 2-3 months that they would build towards, is the 80s and early 90s. And I think the best model for All In, at least at the start, so at least for the next year, is 4 big shows, and being the Elite is essentially your superstars.
Absolutely. I mean, I would probably say do 2 big shows, but using being the Elite, because they used that so smartly and so well to build All In and the storylines that were going into it. And it's such a well-produced show, and it's fun to watch. It's so digestible, which I think is, I'm not trying to say that as like a negative thing, like, oh, that's easy to watch. But it's a way to, like, they get all of their storylines over so well in that show.
And that there's something for everyone. There's like zany stuff, there's insider stuff, and then there's fantastic wrestling as well.
Yeah.
That's the one tweak I would make to being the Elite to make this structure work, and that is have matches, like one match per episode, but you're just like, these are big enough guys. The Bucks go, oh, can we film our tag match against Pentagon and Phoenix at
PWG?
Yeah, but not they wouldn't allow it, but like Defy Wrestling, say like or an AAW show, and those independent promotions, and I'm sure they'll be like yes, or a deal could be worked out, and then you can have at least one match on each, like rather than just the little clips of matches.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think they've got a really, I think it's a real great business model they've got at the moment. And we got like an email or a message from Patreon from one of our pledge hammers that I've moved out of the mailbag into here because it kind of is encompassing here. It's from our Rob Pontin Problems. I asked a few months ago, would All In change wrestling as we know it? At the time you said no. Has your view changed? Do you think this has changed wrestling and opened a new era? Did we say no?
No, we said it could change wrestling, or it could completely fall flat, and this is the bubble bursting and everything starts to go on a decline.
Yeah, that was before tickets had gone on sale.
Yeah, maybe we did say that. Maybe we were more pessimistic. I'm sure Rob knows more than we. I can't remember what I said 5 minutes ago.
We did say that we were unsure whether they could sell out the 10,000 seats because it was like an unknown
without
thing.
a CM Punk,
without
a
CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and then like completely proved us wrong. Am I happy to eat that humble pie? Pass me that slice over. I'll eat 2 of them, thanks.
They didn't even have a Neville. There was a perfectly good Neville lying around. They found a Chris Jericho instead. That was. It's weird looking back on like the months leading up to this and these Saturday show titles. It's like, will Chris Jericho be All In? And we're both sitting there going, no, it's too big for it.
He said that he wouldn't do it. What marks we are.
So yes, very happy to be wrong. And I think there is this swell of optimism because we both listen to Wrestling Observer Radio a lot. And one of the interesting things, because Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez were there, it's hearing them talk about the backstage feeling.
Really was interesting.
And how different you have the new generation of guys, so, millennials essentially, your Codys, your Bucks, your Jay Lethals, and they're Flip Gordons, and they're all really nice. And they're like, hey, man, how's it going? And there's none of this political maneuvering or backstage heat stuff. It's just everyone trying to make wrestling nice.
And fun.
Yeah, but then you've got the old-timers who were also there because it was the StarCast convention, and you had certain names, and those guys were problematic. Like, they would be in their cliques.
Yeah.
And if you went over and talked to one of them and not the other, they would be like, well, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
They would be like, who didn't shake everyone's hand?
Yeah.
And apparently, when some of these old-timers, Meltzer didn't specify who, realised that this show was so successful, they tried to renegotiate their rates with Conrad, who organised StarCast, to get more money out of him. And Meltzer was like, that is the old school mentality where everyone is just trying to out-con the other person.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because back in those days, wrestling was such a protected thing. You're essentially conning everyone.
Well,
but nowadays, the newer generation is, no, this is entertainment. We know what's going on here, really. This is predetermined. So you take that con element out of it. And you don't have to prove yourself to be a big guy because they know what this is anyway.
Exactly. Well, Nash has said on Kevin Nash that is, has said on many shoot interviews and stuff, and he said he's very open about this, that they would do house shows and be like, well, there's no point in trying. We've already got their money. And that's his mentality, and that's not just his mentality. That's the mentality of a lot of that generation of wrestlers, where why bother putting on a show? I've been paid.
And compare that to now, where it's like, I don't care if it's in front of 20 people. I'm going to go out there and steal the show and try and have a match of the year candidate.
Well, no, because it makes sense as well. Yeah. Because if you're wrestling in front of 20 people, you're like, well, I want to go out and have the best match possible. Because if that one of those people is booking another show, I want to impress that one person and be booked on more shows. Or if I put on an amazing match and people talk about it on social media, on YouTube shows like this, then that gets me more exposure. That can get me booked on other shows. So you do want to go out and try and impress people and put on the best show possible for the audience that are paid to see you.
Now, this is bringing us on to something that I don't think's been talked about in regards to this yet. This is my secret idea that I've been working on in my head and just mulling over. So, you've got this new kind of person in the wrestling industry, and this was All In was really the proving point of we don't need WWE. You speak of the old school and the new school mentality. WWE is totally that old school still. You're like, there's backstage heat if you say the wrong thing. You're
walking on eggshells.
Hands. Yeah, you're walking on eggshells. There's like whatever the stories about alleged allegations about Randy Orton and the handshakes. You've got that kind of toxic locker room mentality over there, and then
with the old school love. They hate the fact that you just sit around, you play your video games. Like, oh no, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to live past 37 as well, which a lot of your lads didn't.
Well, that's a
different. I know.
You might live past 37, but be in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm being very facetious.
Yes. So you've got this new generation of guys, who are all in the same mission and hopefully wouldn't stab each other in the back to get that extra spot. When Cody talks about sticking together, being the elite, and making that move together because they're part of a bigger mission to make wrestling what they think it should be. And that to me just screams unionization, which is the biggest untouched thing with WWE and wrestlers. Of course, just for context, WWE contracts talent as independent contractors.
They're not signed, technically. Yeah. They are independent contractors. That's what Raven was always suing them over.
Yeah, so they're not employees. They have to pay for their own travel. They don't get sick pay. They have to work all these dates, and they can't work for other promotions. They can't take sponsorship deals and do things like the Bucks and Cody are doing. But the reason that's always fallen down, like when Jesse Ventura tried to get it started, when Raven tried to get it started, is because that old school mentality of wrestlers was to do anything to get ahead. So if a bunch of wrestlers start to unionize, someone will go, yeah, I'm just going to take that spot.
Yeah.
But now, maybe that bond is so strong that the top guys are banding together, and they might actually be able to start a union.
And if it is going to be anyone, it would be this group of guys.
Yes.
And because they're the guys who've got all the sway at the moment, really within the independent wrestling scene. These are the top guys on the independent circuit. Cody, the Bucks, Paige, Mighty Skull,
Omega.
These are the guys that are kind of like, and I don't want to say running the independent world, but they more or less are. They're the kings of it at present. And if anyone could start a union, a genuine union that protects the well-being of wrestlers, it would be these guys.
And Cody's got the acting side. He's friends with Stephen Amell, so I would be surprised if he hasn't had chats with actors being like, so how does this all work?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a huge thing. If you're like, well, that sounds like backstage boring stuff and legal technicalities. One theory is that Linda McMahon is now in the small business department in Trump's administration, really to stop any unionization and the independent contractors debate flaring up for WWE.
Yeah.
So this is a huge thing, and Linda spent tens of millions of dollars to get that position, really, in her two previously failed Senate campaigns. It's
a potentially huge thing.
Yes,
we should specify there, because this is very much speculation on certainly on your part, and actually on my part as well. But I could see them doing something like that.
Yes,
or at least trying to.
But yeah, just in terms of other All In bits, All In 2, and how this. But the one problem with All In is how many promotions you've got going on there, and how long they will all play together for.
Okay, so at the moment it's very much Ring of Honor, New Japan, and NWA.
Yes.
Which is, you've got Billy Corgan in there, you've got Sinclair with ROH, and your man, what's the New Japan president? No, the president.
Oh,
the Dutch
Harold
guy.
Meij.
Harold Meij, that's the one. Smoking a pancake. How are they all going to be able to play ball together? Because it always happens with businesses. When businesses try to get together, businessmen have different opinions on how, or business people have different opinions on how you should do things.
Yeah, it's weird how the All In, the name All In really encapsulates all these wrestlers coming together, all these companies coming together. But like that is arguably its biggest strength, but it could potentially be the biggest weakness when it starts to fracture and deteriorate.
And you can imagine that come All In 2, Impact will want to be part of this as well. Because then you got Don Callis doing commentary for it, and Don Callis is really behind pushing Impact as a strong brand that people want to be associated with, and he's doing a bloody good job of it, in all fairness to him. So I could definitely see...
friend.
Absolutely. So I could definitely see Callis being like, we need to get Impact involved in this as well, get the Impact guys in there for All In 2.
It's just, at one point, there's going to be a conversation, whether it be for the All In 2 or 3 years from now, hopefully, if it's still going. And that is, okay, so whose show is this?
Yeah.
Like, is this an all-in show? Because we're just going to start doing our Ring of Honor stuff. Or is this just a Ring of Honor New Japan show?
Yeah.
And then, like, NWA are like, but what about us? And, you know, so it's difficult. Because in a perfect world, I think I would want this to just be a Ring of Honor thing, because apparently the Ring of Honor production guys were a huge part of how this event was produced.
And it looked so good.
But with an NWA regulatory body for the belts.
Yeah,
just
well,
for
that
the
makes sense.
prestige there.
That
but
makes
then,
sense.
like, you know, Billy Corgan spent a fortune on those.
Yeah.
He's a man with grand ambitions.
Really
Maybe
is.
he's like, no, I want to do this.
Yeah, because and it's not just that, but it's also like Billy Corgan may look at that and be like, "Oh, the success of that show was down to us and the NWA." And then someone's like, "Well, actually, no, I think Ring of Honor were the people that were really successful behind that." But then what if Harold Meader's like, "Well, actually, I think it was probably the fact that you got our IWGP Heavyweight Champion there."
Kenny Omega stole the show.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's when you start to get these sort of butting heads. But I would like to think that in this beautiful world of wrestling we are currently in, that everyone is in this together. They are all in. And they'll be like, do you know what? Let's just work together and make this good.
Yes, but against the common enemy of WWE.
But I don't even think it's a common enemy, because I don't think that you can see... Because WWE aren't technically competition, because you're not competing against them. You're just doing this for wrestling fans. Because they're not... WWE is appealing to a very different market than All In is doing. So I don't see you can really... I know we titled this video as WWE versus All In. WWE, the only thing they can really do, because they're not going to be able to get their fans, is to just try and get the talent.
Yes.
And that's where All In 2... That's what All In 2 will rest on, is trying to steal the talent away from the show. They managed it with Deonna Purrazzo. That was the only one they managed to get.
Couldn't even get Rey Mysterio to
Couldn't even get Reg to do
uncommit.
it. Yeah.
Because, I mean, Rey's starting within days, apparently, reportedly.
But that's been... I've heard that since January, mate.
Well, it's because the one sticking point was he wanted to work All In.
Oh, really?
And they and WWE were like, no, we want you to not do All In.
Yeah.
And he was like, let me do All In. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So he
Interesting.
did All In, and yeah, he's finishing up dates. now.
Okay, interesting.
So yes, but yeah, Chris Jericho is this wild card as well.
Apparently, the WWE were furious,
Yeah.
and they
didn't know.
They didn't know that he was going to show up. Mike Johnson on PW Insider said that when Jericho popped up, his phone started to buzz with loads of text messages from people working for WWE, going like, "Is Jericho on the show? Is Jericho at All In?" And he's like, "Yep, I'm looking at him right now."
Why weren't they watching the show?
They're not allowed to watch other wrestling, you know that.
Anyway,
Poisons the mind.
Should we do some crap gimmicks? Just shortly before we do the crap gimmicks, we are sponsored. The WrestleRamble is sponsored this week by Fight Forever, which is kind of continuing this groundswell of non-WWE shows. We've had All In, we've got Wrestling MediaCon right now, and then where Fight Forever team are actually going to be, so we can say hi to them. In December, in the first week of December, Fight Forever are like this new wrestling promotion in the UK, but their nights are, here's a wrestling show, you know, like with Cody Rhodes, with Flip Gordon.
Who?
Cody, just Cody, with Brandy. Jesus Christ, if I see her in the flesh, I don't know what's going to happen. That sounded
so
enormously creepy.
That was the creepiest thing
Nothing
you've ever
towards
said.
her. I mean, I just might, like, you know, need to get another drink.
Fawn over like you did with Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, oh my God, Kevin Kelly.
Still my favourite story.
Beat still my heart.
Do you want me to
beating
introduce
heart.
you to Kevin Kelly? No, I can't.
No, oh man.
I couldn't meet Kevin Kelly.
We've probably met Don Callis by now at Wrestling MediaCon. I don't know how I'm going to do that in the flesh. I always have a little freak out before I'm going to speak to him on the phone. But yes, it's Cody Rhodes, you've got Flip Gordon, Jimmy Havoc, Zach Gibson, Travis Banks, Will Ospreay was on a poster. I don't know if he's been announced, though. So, yeah, you'll have a wrestling show with matches, and then a live podcast, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard and Comrade.
Wow.
That you get to. And then after that, an after party hosted by either Papa Shango or the Godfather.
Oh, okay. So it's Charles Wright. But
No. They are different people, depending on which night you go to.
If I was to go to anyone's party, I'd want it to be the Godfather's rather Papa Shango's. Because if it's Papa Shango, he's going to make me throw up black liquid from my mouth.
A viscous black liquid.
Absolutely.
And the Godfather, in real life, Charles Wright owns some strip clubs, doesn't he?
He certainly does. That's his business now, which is why when they're in Vegas, often the Godfather will show up because he's literally just down the road, and they're like, just pop down for a little bit. And he will
imagine that's a guy who knows how to host a party.
Well, I remember a shoot interview with the Godfather I listened to once, and he was talking about, with Charles Wright, and he was talking about how much fun he had as the Godfather character, because it's like, it's just who I am. Like, that was not me acting. That's just how I am. Which is why he hated doing Papa Shango. It's why he hated being the good father, because that's not who he is. Who he is quite literally the Godfather.
Anyway, so it's quite a unique bumper evening of wrestling entertainment. It's all these different fan parts attached to it. And you can go and follow Fight Forever at Fight Forever UK or on Facebook at Fight Forever Wrestling, and the tickets are on sale in the link below. It's like Fight Forever at eventbrite.com. But yeah, like we might. I want to go to the London shows.
I was going to say, I'd imagine we'll be there.
Yeah, because it's sponsored by Right, so we should get tickets. So we'll be there as well, I guess.
Absolutely.
Getting drunk at the bar with the Godfather. Then off to Spearmint Rhinos.
While you literally look after Brandy Rhodes.
Hey, no, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh,
I just think she's enormously attractive.
That's all the comments are going to be on this video is you after Brandy.
I'm not even going to. Tell me some crap gimmicks.
I'm teasing you. So this is some crap gimmicks now. If you're new to this show and
it's a body-focused industry. That's what I'm saying.
If you are new to the show and wondering what the heck is a crap gimmick is a segment we do on the Saturday edition of the WrestleRamble where you, the SWAF Nation, message us with your crap gimmick proposals that we might possibly sign to crap gimmick wrestling. What's a crap gimmick? Well, you can kind of think of it as like that 90s mentality within WWE where you are either a wrestler and a blank, or it could be something completely different. We've had robots, or at least people who think they're robots. We have had people who are quite literally haikus. We've got all sorts of people on here. So let's see who might get signed this week.
Yeah, just before we do that, I haven't done this yet. So this is the murder room because we've got studio issues and we're recording from somewhere else. A lot of people have said they like this. They prefer this to the T-shirt backdrop.
We'll come to that in the mailbag.
Okay, but one other problem with this place.
A few people have noted this.
Is the skylight.
Yeah.
We cannot white balance because the light keeps changing.
Yeah.
There's no way to close this.
We've got two lights here that are trying to light us, but it is a losing battle against this ginormous skylight that we've got here.
Well, we're losing a battle against the biggest light ever. It's the sun. So yeah, that's just to say it's not a slow nuclear blast that is overexposing the screen. It's the sun. Carry on.
Yeah, the sun is a bigger star on the independent scene than Cody at the moment. So this first one comes in from Christian Procel, I'm going to say, Procel or Procel perhaps. This was sent to us on July 1st. If you want to send in your crap gimmick, it's luke@wrestletalk.com. One more time, luke@wrestletalk.com. I tell you the dates they were sent to as well because I have got a massive backlog which is nearing 200 at the moment. So his suggestion, this is Christian's suggestion, is Colin Gaston. Whose finisher is Caution to the Wind, which is a shooting star press, and a gut buster to set it up. Gaston has incredibly bad irritable bowel syndrome, and he sometimes wins matches by countout because his opponents can't stand the constant farting. Some go as far as to wearing a gas mask to try and stay in the match, but sometimes still manage to lose with Gaston's incredibly potent Caution to the Wind if he's able to execute it. You often see Gaston taking swigs from a bottle of Pepto-Bismol to try and control his digestion digestive issues. Gaston regularly goes after the Intercontinental Breakfast Championship, and while he's an amazing performer, he's yet to successfully win due to forfeiting most matches because he needs to rush to the toilet. He'll often still in the middle of a match. Nope, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, as a true underdog, CGW fans seem to get behind him, hoping to one day see Gaston achieve the impossible and finally win the Intercontinental Breakfast Championship.
I thought we were getting a Beauty and the Beast gimmick when I first heard the name.
It's almost disappointing that it wasn't really.
Yeah, Gaston.
No one futs like Gaston.
Yeah, and he'd come out in song all the time.
Yeah.
So I actually quite like this. Vince McMahon's brand of potty humour,
Toilet humour,
is quite frustrating sometimes. But I think that means there's a good place on the crap gimmick roster for a farting gimmick.
Yeah, I would. The only thing I would take out is the rushing to the toilet, because this is where your pitch kind of contradicts itself, because a lot of the time you say people just go out of the ring and he wins by count out, but then you say he loses most matches because he has to rush to the toilet. He can't be both.
That is an issue with the pitch. I would also like to add something, and that is, so the shooting star is the finish. There must be some kind of production gimmick that you can put in the pants to when he lands that shooting star, a little like a brown splatter goes. He must wrestle in white, tighty white pants.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a good addition.
There's a rich tradition of wrestlers pooing themselves in matches. CM Punk famously.
I was going to say, CM Punk once made a big joke about it and then was told not to make that joke. Yeah.
So, yes, next one.
So, Brian Fogarty, who is a pledgehammer, this is also sent on July 1st, has emailed in the veterinarian, who looks like Trish Stratus. She's a qualified veterinarian in her late 20s. Now, we don't really have a lot to this pitch, but this is her catchphrase. "Wanna see my puppies?" Which can be expanded upon. She could stand at the top of a ramp and ask the crowd, "Wanna see my puppies?" Then, as the men in the audience channel their inner Jerry Lawler, 2 puppies are brought out from the back. The breeds of puppies can change week to week. That's the pitch.
I mean, that's great.
Yep.
It's so strong just on that one. And then she wouldn't wrestle. Then she would leave. Yeah. It would just be like an Elias thing.
Yeah, she's basically like, it's a parody of like early 90s, early 2000s women in WWE, where you are just brought out to be a sex object, but actually you've got some nice dogs.
And I think that's a really nice payoff, because who doesn't love cute puppies?
Absolutely.
Like even the frustrated people, I wanted to see some breasticles, but then you'll be like, but
look at those nice dogs.
Puppies.
They're so nice.
They're rolling around together.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a different breed each week as well, you can turn it into a big like deal, because everyone like, after a while, people will get in on the joke, and people will then be like, "Hooray!"
Yeah. They'll be counting down the minutes on the weekly CG dub show to when this spot happens.
Yeah.
That is good.
That is good. And our last suggestion comes in from Will Bevan on July 2nd, the critic. He always enters just after the previous match has ended, with a mic in hand, giving his opinion on spot and rating the match. But he changes the scales he rates the matches with each week. Sometimes he uses stars, and sometimes he uses wrestler-related puns for specific wrestlers. He's primarily a heel. The critic often turns promos into a mess by pointing out irrelevant flaws in whoever is questioning him. Upon facing criticism, he gets flustered and tends to try and escape, giving silly excuses, as ironically he can't actually deal with criticism himself, which has led him down this path of a hyper-critique of others. His finisher, and this is where this kind of like why I liked it, is the face meltzer, which is a similar to the crossface. Good pun and work there.
Yeah.
Sounds like face melter.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's kind of, when you take things personally, we're essentially critics.
Yeah.
I'm
someone who suffers from colitis, so the first one was a bit of a dig at me as well.
That is good. I wasn't as into it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe I feel like we've got a lot of gimmicks where people just come on and I rate it. Like they do a little bit and then the match.
Yeah. A lot of promo work in CG dub.
Yeah. But that's crap for you. It would be. So out of the 3, I've got to be honest.
The veterinarian.
The veterinarian is my favourite.
That's who I'm going with as well. And that's not just because he's a pledgehammer, but I like the veterinarian. Congratulations. If you would like to send a message to the mailbag, all you have to do is become one of our awesome pledge hammers by donating on Patreon. Just go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, I think it is.
Yeah, do you want to give an update? We were so close. So we were pushing Patreon all through August, and so many of you very generously became Patreons.
Yes,
and we were, because we need 750, that's our goal, to make weekly NXT reviews happen. So WrestleRambles for NXT every week. And we were so close. We got to 738. But then what happens with Patreon at the start of each month? Everyone's cards get charged again, and some people get declined. Others get like, oh no, it's a fraud thing, even though it isn't, it's fine. And it's we've gone down to 680.
Yeah, so a lot of people either pledged without the intention of sticking around, or payments got declined or things like that. So it's always worth, if you did get declined but you wanted to remain being a patron, worth going back to Patreon to find out what happened. Because we did get in touch. Someone got in touch with us on Twitter to say that their payment was claimed, like their bank called them to say, we think this is fraud, and they had to go like, no, I meant to do it.
Yeah, I actually do give money to these guys. The bank's like, these guys?
What, these guys?
No, this is fraud.
No.
We'll just cancel it for you.
Did you mean Cultaholic? No, I actually genuinely meant these lads.
Oh, haven't we got someone I missed a shout out for?
Yes, you have. Apparently, you missed out a couple of people.
Luke was on holiday recently, and I did bad shouting outs.
Yes,
apparently.
But
it's because I got everything on the 29th of August. So anyone who donated post that date in the last 2 days of August were missed out.
So the two people that were missed out, at least that have let us know, are Mo Space. We haven't got a wrestling name for you yet, but someone who's given themselves a wrestling name is the real deal sex appeal Andy Puckett.
Thank you very much. I definitely remember that name.
Yeah, he said I also got skipped over this month.
Oh, sorry, Puckett.
Although that was 2 weeks ago, so maybe it's because you hadn't done the shout-out at that
could
point.
be. Well, you get a double shout-out.
Yeah.
And the Mo Space. Find me on Mo Space.
Lovely stuff.
That's your nickname.
Yeah. Tom.
Yeah.
From Mo Space.
Tom
from Mo
Space.
Space.
From Mo Space.
So our first message comes in from...
Mo Space Mountain.
I like that one. That's good. Our first email comes in from Jared Konitzer, who says... Call me what you will, but I've chosen to jog with only one other person. It's been a phenomenal decision, in my opinion. There's no jealousy about jogging with others, and there's no regret about jogging with others in the past. I know people will argue with this, but that is my thought.
So anyone who is confused by this jogging metaphor might want to become an after-swafter. Listen to Wednesday's podcast intro.
Yeah. Because we have a section on there called The Agony Arts, because we're the masters of the agony arts, where people send us their real-world problems, and we try and give the best advice we possibly can, which usually ends up being terrible advice because we're not actually that smart.
Qualified.
We're not qualified. And that is based on an email that was sent to us. We won't go into the details of it here. But it's about jogging. And I'm doing big air quotes for podcast listeners. Who will have heard the email. Thomas Westhead has messaged into saying, like, is anyone else... I thought I'd popped you. Is anyone else really starting to grow attached to the murder room? Or is it just me?
Okay. No, it's just, certainly not me.
No.
Well, I don't know if you can hear it. We've got a band next door. We can hear it. I don't know if it's picking up on the mics. Mm-hmm. There is the sun issue. There is a weird damp smell.
I can't wait to get out of here, in all fairness.
Also, this is only one room, so we can't really... At the moment, Fogarty is in my flat 5 minutes down the road while we're here, and then we're going to go and collect him. So we can't... This is not an optimum working environment.
It's not, no. But when we do move into our new studio, we're going to have a new set.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll start adding to it.
Absolutely, yeah, which was obviously...
Not off the bat.
Which is our previous Patreon goal, which we are still working towards.
Because the studio fell apart.
Yes, pretty much. Razman's Reality has emailed in. Now, this was an interesting one. I thought you might have some thoughts on this. Hey, guys, hope you're well. If this doesn't feel like something you would want to answer on the show, feel free to PM me or whatever you can if you want to. I'm thinking about getting into making wrestling videos myself. I used to make them as well as write opinion pieces for a few websites a few years ago. The reason I stopped making videos was because I found it so hard to get noticed on YouTube because I find you have to put certain things in your title in order for people to know what the video is about. Since there are so many other videos about the same thing, your video gets passed over. Since you guys clearly have found something to build viewers, I was wondering if you had any advice for me if I decide to do it again. I thought about going the podcast route instead, but I simply don't have the money to be able to afford hosting at the moment.
So... piggyback off the success of an existing TV show called WrestleTalk is my success.
Just your secret.
My secret. So video content is already very hard to do, because you want to make it look good. Like, this isn't filmed off our phones.
Yeah.
This is filmed using professional equipment and rubbish headsets. So yeah, and YouTube has become very oversaturated in recent years. So that does make it depends what you're in it for. Like, if you we didn't start out wanting to make a business of this or like a real big thing. It was just because we love wrestling, and before that we loved movies. So yeah, it's difficult, but you do want to see some uptick in viewers. So I wouldn't blame that on YouTube. I would just take that as feedback to maybe change what you're doing if you're not getting the success that you want.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, my thing, so a lot of people have asked, like, should I start a podcast? What if no one listens? My thing has always been just do it anyway. Like, do it because you enjoy making them. Like, when we used to record our old movie podcast, it didn't have a massive audience, but we really enjoyed just getting together every week to talk about movie news. And just, essentially, we were recording conversations that we would have had anyway.
Yeah.
And people just managed to get in touch with us. So it's do it because you like doing it is basically the main thing, really.
Yeah, because if you do it if you're in it for the success, like, people will see through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be my advice as well. Just do it because you fancy it. So I'm going to see the last question we'll do here is from Alex Allen. Hi.
Alex All In.
That's what I thought as well when I wrote it down. Alex at All In. Hi, Ollie. Hi, Laurie. And hey, Luke, even though you're on vacation. I'm back now. I hope you guys are having a great day. I just wanted to know, what are your guys' opinion on the build and match for Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk? I went back and rewatched the match, and I remember how much I was into this feud that began with Paul Heyman turning on Punk. I just wanted your guys' input. Much love, Alex.
Oh, great question to end on. I can't remember the build.
No, I can't remember the build either, to be honest.
This was SummerSlam.
Yeah. Here's a fun story for you. When CM Punk did that, the infamous Colt Cabana podcast after he left WWE.
Yeah.
And he talks a little bit about that, how he had a feud with Brock Lesnar. I was shopping at the time, listening to the podcast, and I paused and was like, did he? I completely forgot that it had happened. That was only a couple of years later.
Oh, man, I can't remember if that was even a good match.
Well, according to Punk, it was the best match on the show, but that's just the way that he viewed it. So I honestly don't remember the match, nor do I remember any of the build for it. I wasn't really watching it week to week at that point. I was just reading things as opposed to actually watching it.
I'm sorry I can't answer your question.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and have a rewatch and refresh my memory.
Absolutely.
But to kind of like pretend to answer it and actually answer something else, I was looking through Taker's streak today.
The WrestleMania streak?
WrestleMania streak.
The streak of really rubbish matches that only got good in the last few years he did it.
Yes. So, of course, you had Shawn Michaels, Triple H, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
And Brock Lesnar ended the streak in that not very good match. But the CM Punk one was actually a really good match.
It's awesome.
And I thought, CM Punk was the last person Taker beat. Did Brock really need to end that streak? Imagine if CM Punk ended Taker's streak.
Well, I remember at the time when Lesnar beat the streak, me and my friend watching it were like a little bit pissed off because, mostly because I was like, surely you'd want to give that to someone who can benefit from it. And Brock Lesnar did benefit off of that because then he had the match with John Cena and became champion, and he had a bit of a lengthy run with the title in order to drop the belt to Roman Reigns. So, but then Seth Rollins won in the end. But, so there was sort of like a point to do it. It was to build this massive Brock Lesnar character up so someone else could beat him. But at the same time, I always thought it just made more sense to give it to someone who could really use it and who could use it on a weekly basis as like a regular character. A friend of mine, like an old university chum of mine, was fuming that Randy Orton didn't beat him when they had their WrestleMania match because he was like, he's the legend killer. Like, what bigger legend can you kill than The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania?
I think in retrospect, though, you get those two Shawn Michaels matches, Triple H.
Yes.
But if Punk beat him, maybe Punk doesn't leave. Maybe Punk is, very satiated with ending Taker's streak.
Well, that was Punk's problem, wasn't it? It's what you explained on The Art of Wrestling. It was like, yeah, I beat Undertaker, but where's he the following day? Or Undertaker beat me, but where's he? And then Brock Lesnar beat him in their SummerSlam match. He was like, and where was Brock Lesnar the next day? Like, I was there at work.
Yep, well, that's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things, and this button right here, which will make you a Patreon on full WrestleTalk, whatever it is. You get questions and
Podcasts.
It's really good. I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.